Hello and welcome to the Graham Sibbald Podcast. My name is Jorja and I'll be your host today. As always on the Graham Sibbald Podcast, we discuss the changes and developments of the property sector, and this week is no different. On this week's episode, I'm speaking to Stephanie Walker, who's here to tell you all about the impact of coronavirus on the petroleum and roadside development market. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the Graham Sibbald Podcast. Welcome to the Graham Sibbald Podcast. We are here today with Stephanie Walker, who's an associate at Graham Sibbald based in the firm's Glasgow office. She works in the Petroleum and Roadside team, which is all about the podcast today, and she offers valuations, acquisitions, disposal, and strategic property advice. Good morning, Stephanie. How are you?
Morning. I am good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I can't complain. So I mentioned a little bit there about what you get up to as an associate at Graham Sibbald, but could you maybe tell us a little bit more about your role within Graham Sibbald?
Yeah, so as you said, I work within the specialist roadside department at Graham Sibbald, and we cover the UK market with a particular focus on the service station market and commercial roadside developments. Day to day, my role varies. I can be assisting a client with disposing of an operational business entity or acquiring roadside commercial sites for clients, disposing of sites. I also provide lease renewal and re-gear advice, and we do valuations. I would say over the past couple of years, there's been a real focus on assisting clients on a strategic basis. So we'll look at their current portfolio and the best way to add value to their existing assets. Recently, I've been working on quite a lot of exciting new to industry projects as well.
Great. So going back to before the world went mad and before COVID, what was the petroleum and roadside development market like over the 12 months pre-lockdown?
Yeah, pre-lockdown, the market was particularly strong within the operational side of the market. Businesses were performing incredibly well, and there was a strong demand with very little supply. Businesses were doing particularly well, and there was a lot of buyers in the market looking for new sites and businesses to purchase. And this led to a particular focus on new to industry sites, which is what we've been really focusing on helping clients with over the past 12 to 18 months. And like new to industry sites are basically when petrol filling stations or EV charging sites or drive-throughs all get built brand new. And as we know, the world is changing so much and will be in the next 20 to 30 years. In terms of sustainability and renewable energy, and a lot of our clients are thinking about this now and planning for the future, which means acquiring sites that allow adaptability and change.
Yeah, so you were saying there about how the world is changing quite a lot, and are you seeing any emerging trends with that, or do you have any predictions of what's to come?
Yeah, I would say that our clients are definitely future-proofing their sites now. So they're requiring larger sites to accommodate the ever-changing market. Consumers don't just want to come to a service station and fill up their car. They want a shopping experience. They want to be able to pick up good food and some nice coffee, as well as lunch and dinner and some groceries. So for our clients, convenience is key. And this will be driven even more in the future. In terms of trends, we're seeing clients looking at not only developing out larger service stations, but also with the addition of drive-through options, space for electric charging points, and premium offerings for car valuing. We are seeing the shift go from just selling petrol and diesel to focusing more on the experience. And for a long time now, the majority of businesses' profitability is based on the shop sales, and this will definitely continue in the long term. With the push of more electric vehicle charging points and alternative fuels, there will be as much of a need for a good food offering as there has been in the past. So basically, our clients are looking for bigger sites to accommodate more on their sites for consumers.
Yeah, that's interesting, marking the changes there that you were saying. And now that you pointed it out, I've noticed that myself.
Yes.
So going back slightly back to COVID and coronavirus, what do you think is next for the development market as the coronavirus pandemic continues?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a real struggle over the pandemic in terms of like the knock-on effect that the lockdown has had on the construction industry. We've seen delays with local planning departments and their decision making, which has had the knock-on effect of delays to our clients' project timescales. And this then in turn means that clients are spending more money on the delays, which isn't good. There's a lot of planning that goes into new to industry development sites, from the initial site finding through to receiving planning permission, construction starting on site, internal fit out, and then ultimately the site opening. So it's a long process, and COVID has definitely not helped with the timescales. Like, I would say the delays are inevitable at the moment, and it's so important to protect yourself as a developer or an occupier. But I do believe that over the next 6 to 12 months, things should start picking up. We're just finding it difficult because people are obviously on furlough within councils, and there's just a lack of people on the ground actually making decisions. So that is what we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, I think it is really amazing how much COVID is affecting just every different area and sector.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, do you have any advice for people looking to buy or sell a development opportunity in the upcoming weeks and months?
Yeah, I mean, my advice would be to come and have an informal chat with us. Even though it is the pandemic, the market has remained strong. And although there's been delays, there's not been a reduction in demand. People are still paying high prices for good sites. There's still occupier demand to get onto good sites. So just come and have a chat with us. I mean, there are obviously different ways to market a property or land. And given our client base, we tend to do a lot off market. So if a client believes that they want to keep their businesses confidential, especially if it's to do with like profitability, and if they've got employees that they don't want them to find out that they're marketing their business, we do a lot off market. So we can work up a marketing strategy that best suits the client's needs. Just come and have a chat with us. As long as you have a good property team behind you, you should be good to go.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you to Stephanie for coming on this week's episode of the Graham Sibbald Podcast. As Stephanie was saying, if you do have any questions or would like to find out more about the petroleum and roadside market, or just get some advice, then please go to www.g-s.co.uk. And of course, if you did enjoy this week's episode, you can also check out our other property market updates, podcast episodes on our YouTube site. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jorja, and this was the Graham Sibbald Podcast, and do stay safe.